What is going on, YouTube? So coming back with a video today that might be a little premature for the situation, but I wanted to do kind of a fun video today, doing a 2016 NBA Draft redraft post-Summer League. So I'm going to do just the lottery picks. I'm not going to dive any further. You know what? Even the lottery picks were hard to do. Just because you're working off so little. So this is going to be a combination of how players did in Summer League, also where players fit into their current situations after free agency and after getting a look at their teams as is, and then also where I think they should have gone in the first place and where teams screwed up. So let's go ahead and start out. Oh, by the way, the results of this and like all the results we posted in the description below. So Philadelphia 76ers, number 1 overall. There's no change in the first 2 picks. It's still Ben Simmons, Brandon Ingram, 1-2. Ben Simmons had the look of a superstar, in my opinion, in Summer League. His shot looked fine. His facilitating abilities were on display. His ability to just really be creative and kind of take over a game when he has the ball in his hands, being able to drive, being able to pass, and actually having people actually making people somewhat respect his mid-range game. It was good to see. LA Lakers, Brandon Ingram. Ingram had an up and down Summer League, and if there's a couple things that are clear, 1, he's got an extremely high ceiling. 2, he can score. He'll be able to score at an NBA level. And 3, it's probably going to take him a couple years to reach that ceiling. He's not going to be a guy that breaks through very quickly like we expect Ben Simmons to. It could happen. I made a video saying I believe that he is going to be a superstar in this league, and I really do think he will be a superstar in this league. He's gotten compared. KD even compared him to himself. I think there's differences in both players' games, but again, I wouldn't change the pick. So first change in the pick, number 3, Boston Celtics. I'm pretty sure everyone would change this pick. So there's a couple ways you could go with the Celtics. If you wanted to pick up a new power forward, that wouldn't be a terrible pick. I still think a guy like Kris or Dragan Bender would have been a better pick than Jalen Brown for them at the moment. I would have probably gone with a guy like Dragan Bender to help out their three-point shooting a little bit, just their overall shooting. But I'm going to go with Kris Dunn. Now, I know that this just kind of adds fuel to the flame with the amount of guards that they have, but you got to go with the best player available here. And Kris Dunn looks like the clear-cut third best player in this draft class, maybe even second when it's all said and done. He looked fantastic when he played. I believe he only played like 2 games, but when he did play, he looked fantastic. The upside, it's really unbelievable. He's got moves on offense. He can drive. The shots come. I think the shot will come along pretty well. His scoring ability wasn't really what he was showing off in college. He's a great athlete, and obviously he's a lead on the defensive end of the floor. But anyway, move on to the number 4 pick, and I'm gonna keep this one the same. I got the Phoenix Suns drafting Dragan Bender. I really like both picks of Kris and Dragan Bender, but if I redid it, I wouldn't pick 2 power forwards. I get it that they're both like raw projects with a ton of upside, and I guess when you go with 2 of them, at least you got an insurance policy. But I'm going to go with the one that I think is going to end up being the better player, and that's Bender. So at number 5, I got the Minnesota Timberwolves. I like their pick of Kris Dunn, but if Kris Dunn's off the board, I'm taking Jamal Murray. So I think Kris Dunn will be the overall better player, but it's a very good chance Jamal Murray could become the better scorer. This is a guy that might be able to average 20, 25 points per game at some point in his NBA career. There's no doubt about that. I think he fits in well with the Nuggets. He was a steal at number 7 for the Nuggets, but if you redraft, I don't think he makes it past 5. So at number 6, I got the New Orleans Pelicans taking their original pick, Buddy Hield. So I like the floor spacing that Buddy Hield brings to the Pelicans. It looked like a good fit in Summer League. He looked like he really understood how his scheme was working, and it seems like his defense will come along with that team. It'll be cool to see him be able to space the floor for a guy like Anthony Davis and see if it has an effect on the Pelicans. So at number 7, and this is where it starts getting a little funky. So Denver Nuggets, I already drafted Jamal Murray, which was their original pick. So I'm going to go with the guy that can also bolster their backcourt, can play at the 1 or the 2, and I'm going to go with Wade Baldwin. So Wade Baldwin ended up being the number 17 overall pick to the Grizzlies. He looked very good in Summer League. He's got the tools to really be a very good player in this league, and he can play, I believe it's standing about 6'3". He can play at the 1 or the 2. He's got the ability to do both. He's got a decent outside shot. And again, the Nuggets without Jamal Murray are a team that could use a little bit of a boost in the backcourt. So regardless if Emmanuel Mudiay doesn't work out, or you want to back up Emmanuel Mudiay, or you just want to play Wade Baldwin at the 2 or run a rotation, I think he fits into Denver either way. So at number 8, I got the Phoenix Suns taking the original Boston Celtics pick, Jalen Brown. So the Suns do need help at the 3, in my opinion. Right now, probably starting PJ Tucker. And, Jalen Brown didn't have a great summer league, but the dude still got very, very high upside. And you know what? He might fit into the Suns system a little bit better than he would fit into the Celtics. The Suns already have some good outside shooting. It would allow Jalen Brown to work a little bit in the mid-range, use his athleticism to a little bit more of a high-end potential, especially if they get a guy like Dragan that can also space the floor. And, I think it allows Jalen Brown to be in a situation that's has a little bit of less pressure on his shoulders. The Celtics they need an outside shooter. They don't need another guy like Jalen Brown. And going to the Suns, he could be a guy that could maybe immediately start. Again, Suns aren't expected to immediately contend, so it could give him a little bit more time to develop with a little bit less expectations on his shoulders. I just think everything would work out better if he had gone to the Suns. So at number 9, you know what? I didn't really have the problem with the Toronto Raptors picking Pirtle, but I think they need a stretch 4 more than they needed another center. Valanciunas seems like he's coming along all right. It seems like they're going to stick to him, and I think having a guy like Henry Ellenson, who I think will actually be very good in the NBA, especially with the Pistons, would add a lot more value to a team like the Raptors than them having Patrick Patterson to start right now. I fine with Patrick Patterson. He's a decent rotation player, but I don't think he's a starter. So at number 10, I'm gonna keep this pick the same. You could go a lot of ways with the Milwaukee Bucks. A lot of people were very surprised by the pick of Thon Maker, but Thon Maker, you know what? He looked like he belonged in summer league. It's a really intriguing pick. I really want to see how it turns out with the Bucks. Just, maybe seeing a lineup that features Thon Maker and Giannis Antetokounmpo, neither of which playing the center spot, that seems like an unguardable lineup. So again, it's intriguing to see. I'm gonna keep the pick the same. So at number 11. So this one's a little bit tricky too, because it's the Magic, I believe, drafted Sabonis and then traded him to the Oklahoma City Thunder, and I don't think it was like an immediate draft and trade. I'm trying to remember, but either way, I'm going to keep it the same because I like Sabonis in OKC. I think it's a good fit. The Thunder, especially after losing Serge Ibaka, could use an extra player at the power forward. They'd probably be fine starting Enes Kanter at the 4, and that's probably the way they're going to start out with the year. But the rebounding and paint domination potential, especially on the defensive end of the floor, between Domantas Sabonis and Steven Adams is crazy to think of, especially with how good the Thunder already were with rebounding. Domantas Sabonis was such a dominant rebounder in college that it just seems like a great, great combination. So at number 12, I got the Atlanta Hawks picking Denzel Valentine, the original pick of the Chicago Bulls at 14. I don't know about Taurean Prince yet. I'm not saying it'll be a bad pick. I just think Taurean Prince was picked a little too high when you could find, a player that can play at the 2 or the 3 and maybe fit the role a little bit better. And Denzel Valentine looked great through summer league. Looked like the good scorer he will probably be in the NBA. So, again, if I were able to redo it, I would just have the Hawks picking Denzel Valentine. So, at number 13, and this one is maybe the one I would repick the heaviest just because I think it was the worst pick in the first round. George Papagiannis going to the Sacramento Kings at 13. I would have them repicking Dejounte Murray, and the Sacramento Kings roster has a lot of holes in it right now. There's no doubt about that. But after losing Rajon Rondo, they really need a new point guard, especially one that can be like a long-term solution, and that could definitely be Dejounte Murray. The dude's got a really, really high upside. Right now they have Darren Collison starting at the 1. I'm fine with Darren Collison as a rotation point guard, not really as a starter. But you know what? The lineup would look pretty good right now if you were able to plug a guy like Dejounte Murray in there. It might take a little while. Growing pains might be a little bit of a problem, but this is a Sacramento team that's not expected to compete this year, so I would rather go with that pick. Dejounte Murray might have been the steal of the draft at 29, I believe 29 to the Spurs. So, and then at number 14, even though, again, I didn't have a problem with the Chicago Bulls pick a Denzel Valentine, I actually really liked it, I would have them picking Caris LeVert, especially at the point they're at. With with a backcourt right now featuring Jimmy Butler, Dwayne Wade, and backcourt and wings of Jimmy Butler, Dwayne Wade, and Rajon Rondo, there's very, very little outside shooting, very, very little floor spacing. And adding in a guy like Caris LeVert to the rotation that has a good mid-range, has a good three-pointer, would be a good combination right now. Again, if Denzel Valentine was still there, I'd have Denzel Valentine going to the Bulls, but if he's not, it was close for me between Malik Beasley and Caris LeVert, even DeAndre Bembry to some extent, but I would pick Caris LeVert over that. I like Caris LeVert. I think if it wasn't for injuries, he would have been an easy lottery pick this year. So that'll pretty much do it for this video. Like I said, it might have been a little early to do this, but I thought it'd be fun. A little bit of downtime right now between free agency and when you start ramping up into preview talk and not free agency and preseason talk for the NBA. So that's good. I thought it was a good time to do this sort of video. But anyway, that's pretty much it. See ya.